Okay. Good evening. I don't officially have an agenda, so I'm going to open the town hall meeting at 7:04. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to kind of preface, the town hall is an opportunity for us to hear from the public. It's also an opportunity for us as commissioners to discuss and to address what may be on the itemized agenda, which tonight we do have a focus on the Fairview Strategic Plan that was made in March 2013. So at this time, I'm going to open the floor to any citizen, public person that would like to come forth and speak on either strategic planning or something that you might want to comment or have a question to the commission. The podium is open to the public.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Good evening.
I have a couple things I'd like to report on. Just give the board and the city a report on our progress with Nature Fest that's coming up. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm John Cherry, and I'm one of the vice presidents of the Fairview Area Chamber of Commerce. I also own Big Dog Realty, but I'm here wearing my chamber hat tonight. And we are making some great progress on Nature Fest, which is coming up on September 14th, as many of you know, second Saturday in September. And this is the 29th annual event, and we think this is going to be the biggest and best one ever. It's going to feature some new events inside the event, like Choir Fest. Choir Fest is going to feature about 180 students from the Fairview Middle School and High School. They're going to be singing, I think, 3 patriotic hymns. You know, our theme is Red, White, and Blue Salute. We're honoring our nation's veterans. So anybody that shows up in a uniform gets in free. So they're going to be performing at 10:30 and on the Big Pine stage, or I guess they call it the Pine stage. We're going to have music all throughout the day. There'll be another church choir sing about an hour later after the next band plays. We have several mascots coming. The Titans T-Rack mascot's coming. I think the Gecko's coming. It was kind of cool. I think they're going to be a full-size version of him. And several other mascots. What do we have? Holly the Otter. Ollie the Otter. Sorry. What else? That's it for now. We got Tennessee Bear? Not coming. All right. Smokey the Bear? Can't find him. All right. Something's going to burn. All right. No. But anyway, we've got some really cool stuff. We have a lot of people, a lot of companies sponsoring the events that we're having. The Ladybug stage has got a lot of nice things for children. We have, of course, the usual History Village, the hay rides. We have, right now, we have 70, 80 vendor booths, and we have food courts. We have some nice food coming. What else? What am I missing here? Aerialist. You want to join me? This is my daughter, Jessica, by the way. She's new on the board. There's lots of contests. An apple pie contest. We're looking for judges. I think I see 4 judges right in front of me right here. The pie with ice cream, apple pie contest. I understand, is the city going to have a booth? I'm told there is. We are having a booth here. Okay, the Sheriff's Department's having a booth. And so there's a lot of nonprofits that are having booths. So we're very excited about that. A lot of new people that have never had a booth. We've got sponsors. Boys and Girls Club are going to sponsor the Crafty Critter tent, which is nice. And let me see, I've got the whole list right here. Right now, our donations are up to right at $8,000. We're anticipating a nice donation from Walmart, even though they're not open yet. We have 5 stores out close by in Dixon, Waverly, Ashland City, and 2 stores in Clarksville that are all combining to provide some funding for our events. So we're very excited. If you have any questions about what's going on, we would be happy to fill you in. I have a complete planning guide. If anybody's interested, I could get you a copy of it. I been involved in the Boys and Girls Club Board for almost a year now. Tony Sutton is been involved in that in a long time. I don't want to steal your thunder, but they have a benefit that's a fundraiser coming up on November the 2nd, which is a Saturday in downtown Franklin. It's called Wine Down Main Street. I think this is an annual event. How long has this been going on, do you know?
I can't tell you how long.
It's
their number one fundraiser. I think it's their number one fundraiser in Williamson County.
It is number one in Williamson County. Okay, it's huge. It is huge. I know that.
It funds about $100,000 a year towards those clubs in Williamson County and Fairview.
It benefits Franklin and Williamson and Fairview as well. Those two clubs. Okay, yeah. I know we had a meeting this past week about it, and so I have information on this, which I'd be happy to scan and email to anybody that would like a copy of that. Any questions? We are talking to other chambers around us. I've had 2 conversations this week with board members at the White House Area Chamber of Commerce. We're learning some things from them and how they get funding, events that they do, their rate structures, and we are wanting to take this chamber to the next level. And so we'd like to talk to you all more about, these things. I'll get you some more information about what other cities our size are doing for their chambers, so you guys can talk about how you can partner up with us. Okay? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Other citizens' comments? Mr. Stark? Welcome.
What's that?
Mr. Stark?
Hard of hearing. I'm terribly sorry. What?
Mr. Stark?
Oh.
I hate saying my name, but I'm John Stark. You all know me, and it's a pleasure knowing you all. I just thought today, my wife and I drove over to the Cedars of Lebanon Park, State Park. And of course, anytime we go into any park at all, we just drive it around and see what facilities they have and what their drawing attractions are, if any, and so forth. And when we come back, I just drove through our park here. Man, there's no comparison. Ours makes theirs look sick, literally. And I compliment our city manager and your staff keeping the park so nice, and then the roadways, the center here in town where 96 and 100 come together. Everything is so nice and neat. It's beautiful. But leading off of that, I was driving down in 840 the other day. And as I came over the knoll and around the curve, there stood our interchange right down in a nice little valley, very attractive. And looking at it from the standpoint of parks and that, this it shouldn't change. It should stay the way it is. It's really nice. But looking at it from a standpoint of business, if I had a business, I would want my business right there. When you come around that curve, you're looking right down at it. Beautiful spot. So that goes back to our park and the way we've been fixing things up here. That interchange needs to be developed in a very tight manner. It needs to be developed nicely. I live across on 96, across from a truck firm. And there's lots of trailers and trucks sitting all through there and lights on. And my estimation is it's not a very attractive sight. At night, we have light pollution, and there's noise, and it smells. It would be terrible if we ever got a trucking or a truck firm put in a location, excuse me, at this 840 and 100 interchange. It would ruin it, in my estimation. And if one did come in there, you won't get very much others that would be very attractive. If it's laid out nice, look at Cool Springs, what has happened there. The other day they had an announcement of 700 million new development on 150 acres. Probably a 10-year project. We would, granted, that would be really wishing to get something on that. But we can develop that interchange in a nice manner. And I think we need to do that. We need to make sure if we need to set up a PUD or whatever it is, but make sure we control it so we have some nice tenants or businesses move in there. Because as you come around that curve on 840, it's just laid right out there for you. It's really a nice setup on it. I had something else I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it is now. Oh, yes, at the same place. Water and sewer. I don't know what the plans are yet, or if any plans are being developed or any research going on or not. We won't get much of a development out there without the utilities. And if you get a company that moves in there and has to put in their own sewer system, they're going to have a treatment plant right on the property. And treatment plants aren't very attractive. They need to be out away from the build-up area. So to me, we really need to get on and look into what possibilities we can get for whether you get a regional sewer system in there or whether Dixon is going to do anything in improving. And certainly the water. When I last looked at the test out there, it just barely came out of the hydrant, the water. You can't have any development without improving that. So I guess my question is to you all is there anything being done about it?
I will address that. This week, there was a meeting with myself and the city manager with WADC, and the Water Authority of Dixon has shared with us, it's not public as of yet or voted on by their board, but they shared with us their future 5-year plan of additional water lines in the Fairview area, and then also from now to 2016, a projected plan for them to come from 96 Highway towards 840, supplying water services. That, again, is all speculative and conversation on their part, but we are investigating and we are asking for strategic plans on their part to know what exactly they have in their future in the next 5 years for Fairview's expansion.
That's good to hear.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad it's not just being forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Any other public comments? We welcome anyone's comments or questions.
Is there any discussion on tourism or plans for tourism, maybe developing plans for the park or to attract tourists?
Well, as you've seen, the commissioner from the state of Tennessee Department of Tourism sent a liaison to our economic development meeting last Monday before, and they are working in collaboration with different types of marketing and working towards highlighting the Bowie Park. And that has been a relationship through the Mayor's Caucus and several other meetings that Susan, the commissioner, I have put in front of her the benefits. And they're very aware. They have advertised Bowie Park in several of their publications in the past, but they are looking to partner with Fairview tighter and have it maybe even on those lines, like you have the byways or the highways. I believe that's another consideration as now 840 and coming down Highway 100 is on their radar map.
Is there a current count, an annual tourist count in the park?
Not to my knowledge, so I'm sure if someone has it, we can gather it
We have an attendance count
to the park itself.
Yes.
Okay.
annually. It's around 175,000 people. But you don't know how many of those are repeat customers. I mean, there are some folks I see every morning or every afternoon.
We do that with vehicle counts?
We do it with vehicle counts, yes.
So many per car?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna have any questions for the city manager tonight. He's got a ball game he needs to be at, so I propose real quick that we release him so he can get out of here and go to the ball game, his ball game,
What time does it start?
right now.
I see. Okay.
Unless-
Well, it will be
unless-
publicized, and I guess at that point there'll be minutes so he can review what we discuss on the strategic plan, because it will all revert back to staff.
But I mean, we all occasionally miss for our family.
I'm
I hate
fine.
to-
Do you have any comments?
Aye.
Okay. Do you have that on the PowerPoint? Could you go ahead and upload that, and that way we can start our conversation? And again, I appreciate everybody present, and hopefully what we present this evening will be informational. In January of 2013, the Board of Commissioners met with the University of Tennessee, MTAS, the Municipal Technical Advisory Service. The consultant came and visited with us, and we put together this draft, and it was revisited in a strategic planning meeting in March. So we are just trying to keep alive some goals that have been set forth as not really prioritized, but put forward of these are things that are important for Fairview's future. You go ahead to the next page, sir. We're going to go through the information and just kind of walk through it a little bit and then be able to address it at the end. But as you see, there's a vision. We have revised that particular vision, the Fairview, a great place to live, work, and play, Williamson County's new preferred place to live. The mission to provide a quality of life that allows citizens to be safe in their person and properties, secure in exercising their rights, progressive in development of economic opportunities, and respectful to our past and our beliefs for each other. It kind of walks through and then it goes into the goals. Can you do the next page, sir? A lot of it is just a brief what you do at strategic planning. On the goals, the number one, I want to kind of park there a minute. In 2011, we did the same exercise, and the number one goal was to complete the town center. And to accomplish that goal, there was 8 objectives of how to go about that. In this particular goal, strategic planning, it was roads, bridges, refreshed town center. Now, when that conversation came up, everybody was discussing the town center being the central part of Fairview, where you're sitting now with the city hall. But we also looked at it as what is the future of a downtown Fairview that has not existed in the past. And one of those things was being able to alleviate traffic or to be able to divert traffic of people that are going to and fro the town, but not necessarily coming to the epicenter or the center of town. So those 5 objectives: focus on traffic issues, discuss new road access roads, phase development of town center plan, fund the engineering, because nothing is free, and the land use plan update. The town center is only on this side of Highway 100. The Planning Commission has been, just to kind of address that some of these objectives are currently being worked on, the Planning Commission has proposed to the board that the city center goes to the other side of Highway 100, which would encompass Boone Street to Chester Road, being a larger area for a town center. Also, they have discussed that's part of the phase development. And also in the land use plan, there was is it called overlay adopted by the Board of Commissioners many years ago for the town center overlay. If you're not aware that there is a PUD overlay on the town center and the type of development that's expected, the type of development that is permissible, and the different types of zoning, please contact our planning and zoning, because that is a laid out plan that is moving forward. And as we're talking about the other side of 100, could be enlarging that area. The land use plan has been discussed in many workshops with the Planning Commission. And the reason I'm highlighting these is I want you to see that progress is being made on these goals. The land use has been looked at by the Planning Commission at, I know, at least 4 workshops. And the purpose to that is planning. Mr. Martin from Franklin, a planning director that started Franklin when it was kind of your pickup truck and backyard gardens and small town environment all the way to the Cool Springs. He was involved in that development, so I respect his opinion. And when he worked with Fairview about a year ago, he stated our land use definitely needs to be put in place. And I'll highlight Mr. Stark made the statement, don't let 840 turn into something that you don't want later. And by him making that statement, that's part of the land use. The 840 area, the I-40 area, the town center area, when there is a land use put in place, that is kind of a roadmap of what is considered a good way to see the end. And those type of things go through our planning commission, and that's the first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. If you have an interest in planning of Fairview's future, that's where it starts. The access roads, you may have seen in the newspaper that there was some access roads connecting, such as 96 to the City Hall, connecting areas from 840 over to City Hall, and taking away some alleviation of the congested traffic on Highway 100. That's not free, that costs money. And right now what we're looking at is engineering to be able to see what the cost is. Because at some point, if we're going to say our infrastructure needs expansion, that's where we talk about where does it start, in engineering, planning, and then you have to have the budgeting, which comes behind it. I'm going to pause here and let any commissioner speak on our number 1 goal, which is roads and town center. Does anyone have any comments?
If I could.
Yes, sir.
We've spent a lot of time talking about some pretty large plans. I think there's been some excellent information and ideas brought forth by various members, both of the board and other people that have contributed. I do believe that one of the issues is going to be how do we pay for it? And cities have only 2 ways of paying for things. They either borrow the money or they raise taxes so that they can pay for it, as they go. I think that we have some elections coming up, and that over the next year or so, and that would be a good time for us to get our plan ready, to really see, to develop what you were talking about, so that we might want to consider putting that a referendum out. And first asking, a 2-question referendum. 1, do you think this is a good strategic place for us to go? But secondly, how do you want to pay for it? Because either way, we're not talking about anything that the city has even come close to doing. We're talking probably $15 to $25 million. And I think City Hall was the largest debt the city has gotten into, and I think it was a little over $1 million. So it's like nothing we've ever tried to undertake. It would be a true long-range plan, but the first step is, just as the mayor has described, we have to have something for people to look at, for people to say, this is going to better our community. There is a reason to invest that kind of money in. And I do think it's important that we get that done this year, because I do believe that the, one of the ways to judge the community and how they would like to go about that is through a referendum. And I think we have several opportunities coming up where people are going to be going to the polls. We might as well use that as a way to give us feedback as to how they would like for us to proceed.
I agree. Other commission comments on roads or town center plan?
My thoughts are, it's one thing that I've said for several years, and I think we've known it, that is one area that needs to be a focus, because what's going to happen is our town is going to grow up and businesses are going to predict how our city looks. And while we're all for business and, it's not that we don't want development, but I think that we have the opportunity to steer development and make sure that our city is preserved in a way that we could be proud of. And so I really think I like people's opinion. I'm with Commissioner Purcell that it really matters. I think we can start as small as they did probably, I think it was 10, 20 years, somebody out there can tell me, ago, and just sit down at the table with the community. And, there might be something that we never even dreamed of was an option. Somebody might be ready, to sell or say, hey, I'll give you the right of way through my property. There might be things, and I think it would be a good opportunity, to have people that are interested and care about the community and the growth, to have them come in, do a round table discussion, and it doesn't matter what we decide. If the community is not supporting it, or it's not their vision, then, we're really, I think we're missing an opportunity. I think we have great ideas, and, some of the things that have been placed in front, and that we're already looking at having people do the work, look good, but there might be better options out there. So I really like the idea of getting people involved, and then when something's decided, present it to the community. And that's pretty much how it was done, 20 years ago?
It was a charrette done. And
Yeah.
At this point, the town hall and having the public here is a next step without hiring a charrette person, and that definitely can be looked into. Okay.
But I'm sorry, one last thing. I just think if we do not do something, we are going to regret it, and not just commission, but the city. The city's going to, the people that live here will regret that we did nothing.
On what?
And roads and infrastructure.
Right.
I mean, they're going to regret it. 20 years later, it's really going to affect us. And there's little things. I think sometimes I look back and I thought at the big picture. Let's just start somewhere. Do we have to put all the roads in tomorrow? No. Let's get the plan, do it in phases, and then come up how we're going to phase, each phase, instead of saying, okay, here's this grand scheme, okay, let's go take out a loan, or, not saying that we might not have to, but, instead of just instantly thinking, okay, how are we going to get this tomorrow? What can we do? Like let's put the zoning in place to protect. Let's start on a section at a time and go through those phases.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sutton, I'm sorry.
Mr. Sutton?
Yeah.
Plans that I looked at have been on the table for about 10 years. Absolutely nothing happened.
Right.
This board, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, came to a conclusion not long ago that we were going to take action. If they're long enough, some have become obsolete. The general idea is still there. We're going to have to do it. It's just a question of having to do it. Engineer's going to be there, but we want to do it. We make an extension, for example, Wally Circle, Lake Road, all the way over through here, and we put those roads in. We put them in like they're supposed to be put in, underground utilities, everything that's going to have to have. And as people build there, the builders pay for that. They pay for that rather than, we're gonna build some houses here and we'll pay for it now. But we're gonna have it there and ready for them to move into. They're gonna come a lot quicker, much quicker. So there's ways to pay for it through bond issuing or through that plan right there, that we're gonna recover the money in a very short period of time. But it's something that has to be done, as Commissioner said, it's about, so last year I looked, it was about $15 million. That's 3 times what our annual budget is today. I do not want to raise taxes. So we have to look at the alternatives to doing it in the long range, so we look at how we're going to pay for it when we get to it. Those are a couple of ways through bonds that you issue, we pay off, and we get the business that comes in at a very low rate. Our growth is going to be phenomenal in this city, and it's very important for us, as Mr. Starks pointed out, that we have control of that growth. And I've always said that our growth needs to be controlled. I don't want us to turn into a city that is totally reliant on one resource. I don't want to be like Spring Hill, and I was very friends with Spring Hill. Saturn moved that on them and it was killed. So we need to look at all those factors, and then we've got to move. We can talk all day long, and nothing moves but our lips. We've got to get on it and get it done. It can be done the right way, and it doesn't take 10 years to do it. So it's a tough decision to make for anybody that's here. We're talking about $15 million for this city. It's a lot, but it's going to pay us back many times over, many times over. We're very close to being at a 10,000 person figure, which relates to more of everything, more the tax structure we state, but we're going to everybody else. The gasoline tax is based on population. So once you get those figures up, it's there. As far as growth into the city, once we can develop a daytime population in this city, we're going to have the bigger, better restaurants down. That's what's going to take us forward. They have 200 people in town. They're not going to do this when you have to have thousands a week go through their O'Charlie's or TJ or whatever. But once we get these in, we're talking about in the next 2 years, probably 500 jobs. Last 5 years, we've added 500 jobs. Close to it. By the time you take the O'Reilly's and all the zones and the Publix and the Mapcos and all the other things that are coming in here, and the things that are coming, we know they're coming. So that's what it takes for daytime population, for these other people to feed off of. Walmart's 225 jobs, not counting the surrounding stores that they're going to bring in. Taco Bell, I think it's 40 to 60, something like that. That's phenomenal for daytime population. They're not going to eat Taco Bell all day long. They're going to eat somewhere else. So it's just time for us to start making. We've got the plan, we've got the idea, we know which direction we want to go, and we just need to keep moving. And
Keep
don't
moving.
Sit back on our heels.
Right. That's the reason that I asked for this to be part of the subject of town hall. Standardly, town hall is if anyone shows up, they talk. If not, the meeting's over. So I am trying to get the public, and I'm going to pause now for the public to respond on this, what the commissioners felt was a number one goal in 2011 and in 2013, which was roads and town center. Would the public like to speak on that and maybe share your thoughts, or share what maybe you think would be the number one goal of your commissions? The floor is open.
I agree with Commissioner Sutton that needs to be done sooner or later. This doesn't need to be a long-term thing. If you need to issue bonds to get the roads done, and while you're doing the roads, you get the broadband in here, you get the things that the bigger businesses want, they're gonna pass over Fairview if you don't have the high-speed internet.
Agreed?
So you gotta have the wide roads, you gotta have whatever they need to come. Because if we're gonna grow, we need to grow. Grow in the right way.
I'm expecting a report back from the city manager sometime soon. I've asked him to look into what it would take for us to possibly get a bond rate, what it would take.
We discussed that yesterday in length.
And that's step one.
Yep.
And so we've got to look at that before, but to grow what we're going to grow, you're going to have to have.
That's been stated for the full 3 years that I've been here. It's been stated that we do not have a bond rating and we need a bond rating. And my statement yesterday was we cannot continue talking about something that everybody thinks is vital. We must do something. So I appreciate you following up on that. I'm doing that as well, trying to get answers so we know what to do and how we need to get in position to do so, because that is a big feat to borrow money.
At the same time, you've got to use some brakes and gears on that. You can't go crazy with it and put yourself in a position that other cities have done and then find themselves years down the road with bankruptcy.
Right? Understand. Conservativeness is important.
And grow at a pace that you can afford to grow at.
Agreed.
That's one thing, in the statement I made earlier, I don't want us to say, we are diversified in the growth plan that we're looking at right now. We're not solely sufficient upon a Saturn or a, whatever, DuPont or anybody else like this. The growth that we're looking at right now can be maintained through a bond issue. This is my opinion. I don't know if everybody else agrees with me or not, but we're not going to triple your taxes just so we don't $15 million. That's not going to happen. I'm looking at supposed to be in sometime future longer taxes. The problem that the other city that I mentioned before was they didn't have a property tax. They had nothing to fall back on at the time. It was solely reliant, and every one of those businesses were reliant on that one corporation. And to me, that's a terrible way to run a city or anything. You can't do that. So those things to be considered when the mayor's talking about, we've got cooperation. One of the biggest things we need to do is concentrate on logistics, which they just got through doing with the water authority in Dixon. And this is something we've been talking about up here. We're talking about grinder systems instead of having plants out there, and there's different things. The mayor's going to look at some of those, and they work great. But that's something that's supposed to keep looking at. So growth is imminent and fair. We just have to do it the right way at the right speed. But stop is not the right speed.
Citizens, comments?
Yeah, my name is Alan Murray. I'm on Woodbury Drive. I certainly hope that consideration when we're talking about roads, getting some sidewalks. Sidewalks out here have been so much in terms of the health and well-being of the citizenry. People that I see running along, walking along, biking along, that sort of thing. I consider that when we're talking about roads, regardless of where they are,
Agree.
in the future, defines the town, because I think there is a lot of consideration to be said for the sidewalk we have out here now.
Right.
How it defines fair
Right.
as opposed to years before.
I agree. Safe Routes to School is a grant program that we solicited for a couple years ago, and I believe that it is, the wagons are circling, and that conversation is coming back. It is on the agenda Thursday, September 5th, and hopefully that's a moving forward spot. But the Safe Routes to School would be down Old Franklin Road, down Cumberland,
Right,
down, is that down too?
to start.
To start. That's a first phase. So to answer you, Mr. Murray, it is in conversation. We do realize that it's for the health and the wealth and the well-being of Fairview. And we do see that it does create character. And those things are being considered not only in the road expansion, as we discussed, but also in the current roads going to and fro subdivisions and the schools. So it is a high priority of our discussions. Yes, sir.
One of the code mandates for subdivisions, don't correct me if I'm wrong, is for there to be sidewalks.
In the new subdivision regulations, that is part of the,
So,
yes.
as I was stating earlier, I don't know if you were here or not, for us to come in with plans to go ahead and develop the roads from there to over here, with everything we need, the underground utilities, the street lights, the sidewalks, it's gonna be there. They're gonna pay us back when they build them. They're gonna want to build them, I promise you that.
And to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And to add to that, we are in discussions with TDOT about finishing the widening of Highway 100, where it's, it goes from 3 to 2 and back to 3 and back to 2. And they would not do that without building sidewalks like they did on this part. So the idea, the long range, it probably does look a bit discombobulated, but not to us because we talk about it all the time. But the idea is that in the not too distant future, you'll be able to walk from one end of town to the other. And then people that live in neighborhoods will be able to, their children will be able to walk to school. And then, of course, we'll have to encourage people to do that. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, and there was, if you live within 2 miles of the school, there was no bus service. And there was no carpool lane. You walked or you rode your bicycle to school.
And was it uphill both ways?
No, it was not, and it was not in the snow. But it was required that you walk or that you ride your bicycle. Because they didn't want to deal with the traffic around the schools, and they didn't think that that was economical to run the buses. But there were sidewalks. And you could walk on the sidewalk the whole time, so it was safe. And at the streets, there were crossing guards, so that you had people that stopped traffic to allow it to cross the major streets. But we're a long way from that. But when we moved here 15 years ago, every time I drive in and out or through town, I'm amazed at how different a place it is. And I think 15 years from now or 10 years from now, it'll be even more so in terms of that. And a lot of these things, good ideas, Mr. Murray said, for the sidewalks, it's going to be out there. And people, when we were building the sidewalks, we got a lot of feedback. Why are you building sidewalks on Highway 100? Nobody will ever walk on them. There's people on those sidewalks all the time. So it's a good thought, but you're very much right to our thinking on that. We need to, if we build something, we need to go first class. Don't build it on a shoestring. That's a lot of the trouble with our roads now.
You've got a good point. If you go to a real estate site called Zillow.com, they rate towns and areas where they have a
Walkability.
factor.
That's where this started. When I started conversing about during the construction, the walkability was part of the presentation of this is, we know it's good for everyone. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Yes, sir.
Part of that walkability also pertains to tree ordinance and establishing the landscape
Yes.
along the roadways with the sidewalks and so forth, so that it's a pleasant
Yes.
stroll. That will entice more to get out to them. Otherwise, I'm afraid you can just let them mow it all down. Not going to get anything back in many years. That can push it back.
We also have a streetscape project. It's not been discussed lately, but the streetscape project was for beautification at the 4-lane, 96 and 100, as well as going down 100 in the town center area to add lamp posts, benches, and some type of greenery. So that has not been discussed in a while. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because we do need to revisit what can we do to start and get that now that the road and the sidewalks are completed in town center area. You had your hand up. Go ahead.
In general, it sounds as if we're all talking about something again that we agree on. Roads, we need a plan for building quality of life for Fairview at a rate that we can afford.
Right.
And I love the ideas that constantly of walkability. Walkability on almost every quality of life scale I studied showed helpful. And in the discussion, just a side note about walkability and sidewalks, and I really appreciate Alan's comments, knowing how much he has impacted Williamson County over his years of service as a social worker. He speaks from his heart and his own experience, and I very much appreciate that. And I wonder, just as a part of that idea, if you might consider doing what some other cities have done when they begin to discuss with new businesses, especially the larger ones, the concept of density. And I had an opportunity not long ago to speak with a university professor who has done a great deal of planning in some smaller cities and some larger cities. And she was telling me that she has seen great success with businesses such as Lowe's or Home Depot who have agreed on the front end to talk with the city about building businesses around the perimeter of their building. And when I disclosed to her our situation with this gorgeous park, I wonder, could there be even an opportunity in a charrette or a round table discussion for us to begin talking about putting the idea out there that we might have some businesses that would build around whatever large organization might be coming in. And I think it's no secret that in the past few months, we've seen some trees going down. I think it's 2,000 between here and the Walmart property. So that property is clearly being groomed for something and someone. So at another meeting, at another time, I would also like to know what the city, or if we have time later, but I don't want to be sidetracked, what are we going to do to protect the park from runoff and so forth. But let's say we do get a Lowe's or a Home Depot there. Is there any possibility that we might begin to talk about bridging all the organizations involved, the city, the park, the businesses and so forth, so that we could have some, maybe what this professor said, a high-end restaurant on the backside of Lowe's, for example, with a walking trail into the park. That we might have a dance studio or a karate or a taekwondo organization, again, on the perimeter, connecting to that same walking trail where those organizations could even train on the running paths or so forth. I just thought it was a fascinating idea, and I've had an opportunity to travel with it this summer. As I did, I noticed the cities that not only had this daytime population, but also had people coming in, were taking advantage of everything their city had to offer. And I think Fairview has so much to offer in terms of a both and I look forward to see how this larger plan continues to develop.
Thank you.
Mayor, could I ask if anybody else wants to if they would step up to the mic, because it's
Yeah.
recorded and it's very difficult to hear from back there. So if you could step up to the
Okay.
mic, would be great.
Okay, my mic's on.
Mine was too, but I'll
That one's
that
on.
one.
Good.
Mine's on. Fine.
Also, I'll say too, I've watched a lot of the commission meetings recently, and I've had a really hard time hearing you all on the meetings. I don't know if the microphones are not turned up or what, but it is hard to hear, like on the videos. So I wanted
Okay.
to bring that to your attention.
Thank you, thank you.
So,
Go ahead, Zach.
Jack LaRon, new citizen of Fairview, happy to be here. Been at the Planning Commission meeting last week and hearing you guys talk about your strategic plan, understanding that we do need to do something to move forward with the infrastructure, understanding the budget constraints around doing that. The plan that you guys have put forward, have we had any discussions with the private sector on if we do this, would this be something that you would be willing to invest back into our community with? It almost seems like, too, in an instance, we're building kind of a field of dreams, where we build it, they'll come. But to go budget and loan and borrow $15 million in hopes that we get somebody to come here, that puts a lot of us at risk as a city to do that for all of our growth and our assets. The businesses that are here, the Taco Bells, the Walmarts, the Lowe's, those are retail services. They provide services to people that live and work in a community. So is there plans for somebody coming in here to build something in here that will require people to move in and stay here during the day and then use those services that we have? So I'm just wondering, have we reached out to the private sector and said, okay, if this is our plan and we go ahead and enact this plan, is this something that you as a business could see making some investment in our community based on this new infrastructure that we have?
I could take a stab at that one. It's an excellent point, but it's important to understand that that the growth of Fairview is a continuum. And we are at the very infant first stages of solicitation. And we're in constant, comparison by both our citizenry and others with Franklin. Well, Franklin is at the end of the continuum, where they, despite the fact that they still go out and solicit and continue to try to motivate people to come there, I believe personally they could stop and people would still come to Franklin. We're not there yet. And so seeking those kinds of businesses like Nissan International to come to Fairview is not good use of our resources, because we have nothing to offer Nissan International. We don't have those restaurants yet. We don't have those retail places yet. We don't have that infrastructure that they need to entice their workforce to come here yet. But we will get there. We just got a late start compared to other people. So we're still at from where I sit, we're still at the very start of this, where we're still trying to get base services in here that not only improve the life of our current citizenry, but also start to have people matriculate into the community because they hear it's a good place to live. And from that, we will then start to be on people's notice, radar, in their mindset, to investigate for those kinds of things. But for us to go out today and try to compete against Franklin, Mount Juliet, Hendersonville, any of these communities that are more established, larger, have bigger resources, and are already further down the continuum from us, we're going to lose. And maybe this is not a good analogy, but I used to tell people when I was a manager that you don't want to apply for too many jobs and fail. Because if you apply for a lot of jobs and fail, then your reputation becomes you don't ever want to hire them, they didn't want to hire them. And I think the city is sort of like that. There are things that we want to come here in the long term. But we've got to concentrate on what we would appeal to now with great success. It was one of the reasons that I was so disturbed by the Planning Commission's decision on Taco Bell, because it wasn't just how I felt we were treating Taco Bell, it was how Taco Bell would go back and say, you don't want to go there, those people are difficult to deal with. They want you to change your logo. And so Wendy's doesn't ever come, and Kentucky Fried Chicken doesn't ever come, and O'Charlie's never comes, and because our reputation precedes us. So I think your point is well made. From where I sit, it's something that we do maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now, we start concentrating on those people. But our immediate need is to build along what is our mission and our vision statement. What do we call it, Beth? Our vision for the future.
Yeah.
To increase the immediate stuff that we have here for our citizens and for those people that just find us by chance or find us through the ways that we communicate that we're available now because they're looking for a more rural but some sophistication in city life, that's where I think we have to put our energies. If we try to compete with some of these other right now, I think we're going to come up on the short end, and I don't want to get the reputation of always being on the short end. I want to, when we get into that arena with them, I want to get in there as a true power player. And there is a lot that goes into that. There were some people that didn't understand what was going on with our negotiations with the county about the fire service. And for me, the negotiation was never about fire service. The negotiation was about the county is going to recognize that we are an equal entity who you negotiate with. You just don't tell us what we'll take. And so there's a lot of that this board takes on, and we try to split it up. Sometimes we try to do it together, but there's a lot of that infrastructure and relationship building or redefining that we're engaged in that we think is all part of building a base that lets us play with the big boys, if you will. But we don't want to necessarily get in there and try to throw punches with them until we're ready to do so, because we want to win. When we get in there, I don't want to make a presentation to Toyota and then Toyota decide to go somewhere else. I want them to come here or whatever, IBM or whatever we go after. So it's a great comment, and it's great long-range thinking, and it's where we are working toward. But when I'm sitting up here trying to represent you, I see us as on this path, and we are not at this end of the path. We are at the very start of this path, and there are a lot of things that we're having to set into motion that seem very mundane to some people, but are big deals in terms of establishing relationships, that we are an entity, setting up vehicle maintenance, fleet maintenance programs where we can always provide service to the people, because we want to have good vehicles, and we want to have good fire trucks, and we want to have ambulances that come when you call them. And so there's a lot of base stuff that for a long time, when we were satisfied as a community to be a rural community where it was take it or leave it, that was okay. But when you realize that the roads were all built 4 feet too thin, and there were no sidewalks, and most of the older turnarounds, dead ends, circles, are all too small to turn fire trucks around in, and that a lot of the houses have driveways that during inclement weather they can't even get out of their own driveway, and we have to go get them. When you realize that the community, and I'm not criticizing, that was just the mindset of our community. Now our mindset of our community is we want better things. We want different things. And we're on this road. And starting that stuff is a momentum changer. And that's kind of what we're faced with. That's not meant as an excuse. I really do think you've got a good handle on where we should be trying to go. But from where I sit, I'm still thinking very much in the short term, as in 1, 2, 3 years, because I don't think we're ready to compete yet. I think we're still looking for those kinds of things that would make it a great place to live. And from that, we can then go, and I mean great place for people that don't live here. We all know it's a great place to live. But you know, when people are wanting to move in, they look for certain things. And we don't have all of those things yet. We've got to keep building those things so that we're attractive to people, I believe. But it's a great comment.
Good comment. We have one more slide that I want to end with. I want to go to, and it'll be the fifth page, the last page. I want to talk about your comment just a bit. You were at the Economic Task Force meeting, and the Economic Task Force started in 2011, and thus far they meet on Monday, the third Monday at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. It's an open table, round table. Anybody is interested in future development of Fairview or have a platform, as you commented with Ms. Elliott, of things that need to be looked at as we discuss with developers coming our way. But they have focused on marketing planning. They have had several guest speakers and directors of the Tennessee Economic Development come and speak with our group. We've opened it up to TVA. We've had several meetings with TVA as far as demographics in our community, as well as they did a retail platform for several of our local retailers. We had a full house, the retail seminars. And that's something that's going on, as well as I stated, the Planning Commission, as well as other committees. And we always have applications available on the website. If you have an interest of getting involved in Fairview's leadership and watching the development and planning, there's always an opportunity for you to apply for one of the seats on one of our many committees. The website is fairview-tn.org, and I welcome you to go there, not only for the meetings, so you can stay abreast of the details, and most importantly, stay abreast of the facts. Because believe it or not, everything you hear is not true. And the facts of watching someone on tape or watching the details or studying the agendas allows you to stay plugged in very effectively and efficiently. So I want to just kind of recommend that on the website. The last one, I'm going to open this up for the public because several meetings I asked the Park Board, the Park Commission, the Task Force, and I believe the Planning Commission. I don't have their notes here, but this was additional identified goals. And I think this is where everybody has made small statements, but I want to give you an opportunity because the task force said, what about tourism, which is not on the list of 19? What about broadband, which I believe is number 9? And then infrastructure, a marketing plan that can be used as handouts, not only for the concerned citizens, but for the marketing pieces, which is the Chamber of Commerce, which is the City of Fairview, and pretty much any and all businesses that represent Fairview as they promote future. And then also the industrial park, and I want to share that. There's been discussion about daytime jobs, and that is my number one goal as mayor, is to work and get jobs in Fairview. Because it was identified that our population of daytime working people was around 336 people, and that blowed my mind, that was the only people. There's more people in Fairview during the day, I understand, but that was the number of working employed people in the city of Fairview. And as he stated about restaurants, a Quiznos wants at least 2,700 people, daytime population, and that's just a sandwich shop. So you can imagine a large restaurant or any type of other eatery or things that you may be desiring. And that's probably one of my biggest questions in the community is we need more restaurants, we need more. And that's what those people know about us already, is what our daytime population is. So there's been talk about how can we get jobs in the community of Fairview and in the area to benefit the citizens. And that's been in an industrial park. The industrial park would just open up an opportunity for Williamson County as well as Middle Tennessee to highlight Fairview as an area that is demographically well positioned with the Interstate 840, the Interstate I-40, and the proximity between Memphis and Nashville. And I point that out because as that comes down the planning pike and information, please be a part of that, because if you support more jobs in Fairview as the opportunity for us to grow in a healthy way, that's one way that we can focus, as well as soliciting through the chamber and the city for other businesses and be able to walk through that in a planning process versus saying, well, someone came and it may and may not be what we saw our future, but they were here and they wanted to open business here. So I'm going to ask you, see the 19? Those were what we kind of said is important. I'd like to hear if you have something to add to the list or would like to validate any of those that you feel as a citizen is important for us to be focusing on as your leaders.
Can I? There's tourism.
Yes, sir.
To be added is a game changer for us.
Yes, I agree.
Because the nature park being 700 acres and being the size of Central Park in New York is something we've got to be talking about. It should be it should be something we've got to broadcast, advertise, and it, I mean, 175,000 people come in there a year, it should be 1 million or 2 million. And that could overwhelm the statistics that we don't have right now. That we don't have the 1,700 or 2,700 daytime workers.
Right.
Because, you know, with the shopping center experience that I have, there's a small town in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, that's 1,500 people. And they have 2 million tourists a year because they have this little art in the park idea. And their park is nowhere the size of our park. It's about like that field out there next door to the city hall. And they have this, the largest arts and crafts fair show on the East Coast. It only happens 6 times a year from spring to fall, and it's once a month. That little 1,500 population town swells up to 30,000, 40,000 people or larger. They have bed and breakfasts. They have a little theme park there called Tweezy Railroad. They've got an outlet mall with Ralph Lauren. And I know because I leased the place. And this place is just buzzing with tourists. And that's, you know, in the leaf season, the Mercedes and the Cadillac show up, and they spend money with all the local small businesses and all of the wonderful retail places that you'd like to have, and the food, the eateries that you'd like to have show up, because they'll tolerate a small off-season, it's called, to have that on-season. And with the size park we have, we're missing the boat. With having this park that we have, we're so close to it, yet we're not taking advantage of it. Now, I haven't seen, I've lived here since 1994, and I haven't seen 9/10 of that park. Because I'm not athletic, and I don't own a horse. Okay? I may just get on the hayride at the Nature Fest and go see the rest of the park. But there's got to be a way that we can utilize. I love the idea of having a way to get in, different ways to get into the park. These are great ideas. And we need to put our heads together and make this park be all it can be. You know, it's high time we've done that. And then promote it. The 175,000, I mean, you can do the math on that. The population of our zip code is in the 10 to 12,000 range. That means that we're all going to the park once a month, roughly, or maybe a little more than that. And I don't think it's the citizens that are all taking advantage. I think more people outside of there are going to the park than we are. Because I see a lot of bicycles going. I mean, they could open up a bicycle shop here and do pretty well, I think.
Great.
So the tourism is a game changer if we take advantage of it.
I agree.
And it's something we don't have to wait 5 years for. We
I
can
agree.
do that right now.
Now, just a real quick question on Nature Fest. Are we advertising in Franklin and Columbia and?
We have a committee that's in charge of the public service announcements, and I think that our board members at the paper are in charge of that. So hopefully that's getting out there.
Other than local, they're reaching out to the Tennessean.
Right.
And
And,
these
I
good
don't know
places.
if we're on TV, but I've asked those questions.
To make one quick comment on what you were talking about, and I agree with you. There's a reasoning behind what we're doing now. A couple of years ago, a fellow by the name of Matt Largent came by, and he was one of the key people in the last 10 years in generating growth in Franklin. Young man, probably your age, when you say.
42.
Yeah. And he is now the head of the chamber, the Williamson County Chamber, president. His suggestion, one of the things that stuck in my mind ever since he came out, and we had several meetings with him, TVA, University of Tennessee, you know, spent a lot of time with those people, was that for us to go and solicit growth through corporations, we have to have a plan in hand, because they're going to give you about 15 minutes. If you don't have it, they're not going to look at you. They're going to go somewhere else. So it's very important that we look at the things that we need to have, the logistics, the water, the sewer, the fire protection, the water protection, everything that we need to look at. We need to have as much of that as possible to show them so that they're willing to even come here. We have discussed things such as a UPS HUD, a Federal Express HUD. This is perfect down here to build off of 840, perfect for it. And you're talking about jobs. It doesn't take long to generate jobs. If you stop and think about Publix is 90 jobs. Y'all, am I close?
Publix?
Publix is 90 jobs.
I think it was 99 the last time the
About
manager told
100, I
me.
thought. About
100
100,
jobs,
yeah.
we call 100. And France, which is no longer France, haven't they generated about 100 jobs in the last 3 years? New jobs. That's 200 jobs. We used to have a parts place here that had 2 jobs. Now we have 2 parts places here generating 22 jobs and 150 times the net revenue for the city. So, if you start adding those up in a small amount, that's not counting the MAPCOs and the different things that have come in here. We've generated almost 500 jobs in the last, and that's a lot for a population of every man, woman, and child, less than 8,000 people. And but that's what he said. He said, you have to be prepared when you go or you're just wasting your time. And it reversed back to Allen. You lose them, you lose them, you lose them. You get them when you're ready to go and have what they want and what they need to come in here. John hit on it. Water. That was a big setback for a long time. And through efforts of the mayor and different people with Water Dixon Authority, they're part of the plan now, and they're on it. Dixon Water Authority is only using about 40% of their capabilities, so why wouldn't they want to grow? And so it's a lot of planning going into it, but that's one reason that I kind of move like I move, is to make sure that we're prepared when we're going, but I don't want to wait another 10 years to do it. You have to stay on it every day. So that's all I got.
Comments?
Come on up, Mitch.
Come to the mic. I know some are and some aren't, but we want your comments, please.
And as we talk about the kinds of jobs and businesses that we wish to court here in Fairview, I am, of course, grateful for any job. Having spent 10 years of my adult life in Haiti, I have a place in my heart for people just to work, to be able to contribute. But when I hear you talking about the industrial park, and when I hear you talking about Federal Express, and putting that in places that are easily accessed without detracting from our beautiful park, the tourism that could happen, that makes my heart sing, because we're looking at jobs that can provide a living wage.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the jobs that we have in Fairview right now are helpful, but we ask ourselves, if it's a single mom or a single dad, do they provide a living wage? I'm so grateful for Publix, and I've talked and interviewed some of the employees. I try to go to Publix because they do provide health insurance, and they provide a stock sharing plan that's a part of the pension. And so those are the kinds of things that I love hearing from Commissioner Sutton and Mayor Toddy as we start to develop this overall plan and looking at how can we control our growth, how can we build quality of life for our citizens.
Thank you. The 19 went away. Hopefully you remembered it. The test is after. So any comments or additions to that? What do you feel is important as a goal for Fairview?
Come on down.
You are the next contestant at Town Hall.
My name's Jim Power. I think I've met most of y'all and probably pretty much everybody in the room. I do think that there is some validity to what you're saying, and don't go too fast. But I grew up in Portland, Tennessee. They don't have a Walmart. They've got a Hardee's, they've got a Sonic, and one other little restaurant. I think they recently got Pizza Hut, which y'all have already got. If you go to Portland, their population during the daytime, I don't know how many people's there, because they've got 40 or 50 factories, because they're right there on the interstate. People are happy to build there. They've got population around them with Franklin, Kentucky, Springfield, Tennessee, Greenbrier, Tennessee, all those towns around them all support Portland. They can't even get a grocery store there because everybody goes to Kentucky to get groceries because they don't have to pay taxes on it. So they can't even get a grocery store in Portland, but they can get factories. And there's one builder up there that's willing to build the buildings, and the people will show up. And if you can find somebody who will build the buildings and put square feet out here and say, I've got 30,000 square feet that I need somebody to be in, somebody will show up and will fill that space up. And like the lady was saying here, a lot of the jobs we're getting here, I'm glad anybody's got a job. I'm not putting down anybody that works anywhere. I've worked, I've milked cows. I've done what you do when you milk cows. I've shoveled all that. I've had hard jobs in my life. But still, the thing about it is, when you work at Pizza Hut, when you work at Taco Bell, and I'm going to tell you, when you work at Walmart, because my sister did and she was on food stamps, these places do not pay enough to support some of the businesses to take your family out and eat. You can't go to Old Charlie's because you don't have enough money to go to Old Charlie's after you pay you can't buy a house because basically all you're ever going to do is rent. And this is not something that I projected out. This is something that I became close to. My sister had to leave Walmart where she had been for 10 years because they didn't pay her enough to take care of her and her son without some kind of federal subsidy to do that. Now, I'm not running down, I want whatever business comes, I don't want to put anybody down or any businesses down. I want them to come here. Taco Bell, Walmart, whatever, because there does need to be business. But if the people don't have enough money to go to the businesses that are here because you don't have jobs good enough for them to go out and spend money, I mean, it just, to me, it seems like a sort of a vicious cycle you end up in. I mean, there does need to be some industry here of some kind. There needs to be what I call real jobs. I mean, these are not bad, and please, I hope that, and I know probably somebody's going to watch this on Facebook, and I'm going to get lit up tonight. I remember y'all got lit up last week. I'll take my chance this week. But the thing about it is that we do need to, you're going to strike. I go and bid on jobs every day. I don't get every job I bid on. But when I get that one, when I go build a chicken house for $5,000, I'm a happy man because I got that good job that day.
Was it in a city?
It was in Nashville. And if it was in the city, I would take the fifth because I wouldn't want nobody to lose the chicken.
That's what I thought. I don't know. Go ahead.
And the other thing that they brought up tonight is this park out here. Last commissioners meeting, you had a plan presented to you that there's not another like it in the United States. The people that I worked with when we was coming up with this plan, Mike Beckley has got out and nobody's ever heard of this before. Yeah. We've got some pine trees over here that need to be thinning. And we can take those pine trees and turn them into something that is spectacular for the city of Fairview. We've taken education, we've taken the parks, we've taken this whole thing. Does Franklin have that? No. Brentwood? No. If they want to go to a park, they got to put their kids on a bus and take them somewhere. We can basically, now we've got sidewalks, we can basically walk them to the park. Yeah. We've got the most spectacular thing in this county, of the whole county. Yeah. Right here, right here behind this city hall. And we keep looking over it. We want to build roads beside it. We want to build roads through it. We want to put in cabins. We want to do this. Why do we have to do that? Do people go to Montgomery Bell because all this stuff? They go to Montgomery Bell because there's nothing there but trails. There's nothing there but trails. I mean, I know they've got some developed areas, but the people that go there don't go there because they've got all this luxurious stuff. They go there because they can get out. And the solitude of being in the woods, especially when you live like it. I work in Nashville every day. And there's nothing I look forward to more than getting in my backyard. Because my backyard sort of backs up to this park, so I'm sort of come home to the park every day. And for people to understand, that's something that they, in Nashville, they look for that. They drive hundreds of miles outside of the city every weekend. Well, not hundreds, they drive 30 miles out here. They go up to Mont Eagle. They go all these places to go to what we've got right here. And not to take that park and make it a very integral part of a development plan is, I mean, that just cutting your nose off to spite your face the way I look at it. Because that is the one thing, that's the one thing that makes Fairview different from everybody else in this county. We've got a program now different from everybody else in this county. I don't care who's got the fire trucks, we got something different. We're special. And as long as we keep standing here and saying, we're not, we can't do this because of this, or we can't, we limit ourselves. We need to go and face this world and say, we're Fairview, we're special. And not say, oh, we get knocked down or this. No, stand back up. Most of the people that seceded got knocked down a whole lot more time. They stood up one more time than they got knocked down. And I think that this city needs to do that. And all the roads and stuff, they'll all come, and you've got good plans and all this, but I do think that we need to look more than just restaurants. Because if people can't afford to work in the restaurants, can't afford to feed their families and then eat in the restaurants, then somewhere there's a little something off in that plan. And that's, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Just to throw something out to you there, up until a year ago, we had no interstate signs, no directional signs for Bowie Park. And we finally pushed that through, and there's other plans in the process for it. And just to make a real quick comment, I know some waitresses that make more than I do, and I've been with the sheriff department for 18 years.
Well, I know that, but waitresses are not the ones you're talking
no,
about.
they're not. But keep in mind, one thing that McDonald's does have, and one thing that O'Charlie's has, and one thing that Tractor, they have a great management training program where they can make $65,000, $75,000, $100,000 at those things if they stick with it. So.
Like I said, I'm not running any.
I know.
Any establishment in the city of Fairview.
Thank you.
Remember that.
Okay, we have the 19
Got one more.
up. Come on up. Comments? What are your visions and goals for Fairview's future?
Well, okay. I want to know how many of y'all were born and raised here in Fairview?
I was not. My mother and father were married in 1926 in Franklin Square.
So no one is an actual lifelong citizen, right?
No, just Williamson County lifelong, but.
Okay. Well, right. Actually, we're related. I want y'all, when y'all talk about building new business and industrial parks and all this stuff, remember who got y'all where y'all are, the citizens of Fairview. Take care of them, make them happy, and everything else will come. All I hear when people talk about City of Fairview or the commissioners is asphalt, factories, businesses. What about the citizens? Take care of the citizens and everything else will come. Don't be so fast. We got millions of years to take care of everything. It all doesn't have to be right now. So just remember that, because I want my kids to be able to experience the life that I've experienced in Fairview. But if you fill it up with asphalt and factories and businesses, they're not going to get that. We're going to have to move. And people don't want to do that. We're here. We love Fairview. We want to stay in Fairview. So just consider that, please.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much for your comment. One thing I'd like to add to that, as far as the job situation goes and the urgency, one thing I looked at years ago when I first came here was in the school system. This district, the city of Fairview, has more children on the assisted or free lunch program than any other district in this county. And that needs to change. And it only changes through jobs and opportunities for people here of any kind. And, you got to think about the children. They're the future of this city, this county. And when they grow up and they go to college, they don't come back because there's nothing here for them to come back to in a professional field. And we need to have something in the plans to work toward that, to keep them here if we at all can, to encourage long-term families and growth and everything else that it's here. And for us to do that, we have to have an opportunity for them here. There are hundreds of things that we all look at all the time as far as trying to do that, get some jobs in here. But it's growth is here. If you haven't realized it, we have grown more in the last 5 years than we have in the last 50 years. And if you've been here all your life, you've seen that. And I think for the majority of it since I've been here, it's been positive growth. Haven't been a lot of negative growth. We've changed the job structure from a couple of hundred to 500 or 600, 700, which is something else, because in reality, you're better off with a $8 an hour job here than you are with an $11 an hour job in Franklin, because what does it cost you to get there and get back? So there is a difference when you start looking at $8 job compared to a $12 job. So we're working on all those things. Fairview's great. I love it. I moved here, and I've just been in love with it ever since here. And the people are good people here, and we've got some good school systems here. The schools are going to grow. We're going to grow. There's no getting around it. We are kind of the last place in the planet for Williamson County to grow, as far as homes and families and businesses, and people are wanting to come here and great. And I dare say that the population of, I guess if you want to say naturalized citizens of Fairview has been dropping for years with the increase of new people coming in from different locations and different places. Probably the population growth size of, say, Castleberry or one of those places is probably, I don't know, somebody that lives up there can tell me, probably 80% new people that have just moved here in the last 10 or 15 years compared to people that have been here for a long time. So that's what it is, and that's what it takes, and we want to develop that. I have actually had a little bit of contact with a university about building a substation school out here. Columbia State didn't want to come out here because they got too good a deal in Franklin, but there are other places that want to come. That would be great for us to have an opportunity for our children to go to further their education and not have to go 400 miles away. They closed one, and there has been some discussion about it. But there again, I would hate to know that I was out here on this 840 and I had a serious wreck and I had to be life flighted because I'd never make it in an ambulance. It's ridiculous the response time that we have at this time, and with county growth. And one thing I want to talk about is we're working on cooperation with the county so that we can unify ourselves and our services to work together rather than working apart. That's been, to me, has been part of our problem in the past, and we need to change that. When we had the squabble or disagreement, whatever it was, about the fire department, how much they were going to pay and how much we just said no. But we are willing to work with them with a new substation out here. We're looking at some stuff on 96 now, on 100 rather out here, so it'd be closer, so that they don't have to park a ambulance in Thompson Station, Leapers Fork, down on Old Hillsborough Road, in case one of ours has to go to Nashville. That's a long time to get from there to here to get you, and if you're having a heart attack. So we're just working on all those things, but we got to have it. We need it. So I'll shut up. I think it would be a fantastic location for a centralized unit. But they closed down the one, was it Goodlark, or one of the hospitals that were on the right inside there. It's quite some time ago. It's needed. It's needed, but you have to go through such a process now. Spring Hill, as bad as they wanted one and need one with their population, had to just do everything they want to get an emergency room down there because the powers that be fought it both ways. But that's a long way down to Columbia or to Franklin or to Nashville, and thank goodness for helicopters.
The problem with the state with that certificate of need process.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, and it's the same thing with some housing or. She can tell you more than I can about it, but subsidized housing stuff has to have a letter of need for the area population that you have and the income population you have. So it's based on a lot of different things as to what you can get in here. We want industrial jobs that pay $20 an hour. Well, I got some bad news for you. Saturn don't pay $20 an hour anymore. They start you out at about 14. I know people that's working there that makes 30 now, but that was 20 years ago. That don't happen anymore because they don't have to. When you're looking at and I don't want to carry this on all night because somebody might want to go home and watch Vanderbilt beat Mississippi or something, I don't know. But when you're looking at an unemployment rate of 8%, which we are lower than that in this county, the jobs that are out there, they don't have to pay more. They can pay less because you want a job. You're going to come to work. When it's 8, 9, 10%, Perry County is closer to 30% unemployment. Unbelievable. So instead of saying, well, Saturn says, well, we're going to pay you just $14, which is what they start you at now, rather than $25 for this big union job, that's what's going to happen. So it's not like it used to be. The $25 an hour manufacturing jobs are gone. But there's a lot of $14, $15 out there that you get started at. That's not terrible. I'll take them.
Any other public comments?
Thank you.
Go ahead. I knew you were winding down.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Good evening.
My name is Leslie Staley. I have also lived in Fairview all of my life. I was born and raised here.
I wanted to speak on the Bowie Park subject that we were just speaking of. Myself and my friends that have all grown up with me here in this awesome city that we live in, we all take our kids out there. That is a safe place. It's a great place for parents, and I know there's homeschool groups that meet up there. It's a fantastic area for our kids to play while we have adult time. I'm also a Girl Scout leader. I know that you know that, Beverly. But we take our Girl Scouts out there, and they really enjoy that park. I would, as a citizen, I would prefer that it stay like it is, because it is a great park. It's a great place for our family. We go there and we, feed the ducks or whatever we do out there. I just wanted to touch on that and agree with what was said about the park, because we do love that. And I did listen, as I spoke earlier, to the last commission meeting and about the tree plan and all of that. I think that's fabulous. And if there's a way that we could incorporate community help with that, I think that would be awesome for Fairview. Even what you suggested as far as cleaning up the sidewalk area, making it more beautiful, I think that would be a great project even for Girl Scouts. We make the recreation center in Fairview beautiful, so I don't see why they wouldn't want to do that, because it's great to have our children be a part in this community as well. Because just like we were raised in Fairview, we're raising our kids up in this city, and it's a great opportunity for them. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I'm going to share something, because she made a statement about protecting the Bowie Park. Most of you may be aware, but for the public, it is under a land trust. The Tennessee Conservation, the park in its 722 acres, we get from 7 to 800, I guess it depends on where you're measuring, but it is under a land conservation, and there is only a 5-acre developable area, if that's a right word, developable area that can be, there's a, yes, Eva? 5 acres. Okay. That only can be developed, and I didn't have the details to state it, but I want to comment, if you have a concern about Bowie Park, it is under a conservation easement. There are rules and regulations by the state of Tennessee of what can and cannot be done to that park, and that will be followed to the letter according to the leadership of Fairview. And that is something that was done for the protection of the park's future. So if you were unaware of that, please check into that. I'm sure anyone on the park staff would be glad to share that with you, or investigate on your own, because it does state of what can and cannot be done in Bowie Park. So the issue of one day it'll become something, it's what it is, and it will always be that way, because there are good citizens who thought that was very important and fought to make that happen. So accolades to those persons, but take away the fear of one day you'll wake up and we will not have it. It will never happen, because the conservation protects it. I'm going to read something to you real quick, unless someone has something they're dying to say. It's been excellent having you here this evening, excellent input, and the information that you've given, I've written down, the commissioners have heard, and everything is listened to and put forward in our planning. And I do agree that the number one thing on this list of 19 is Bowie Park. And I appreciate y'all confirming that. But I have in my hand, and you may know about this, it is the current projects that are being worked on in the city of Fairview. We as a commission are very proactive. We have a very active staff and very active departments. And we now have a project list that the Parks and Greenways, and I'll read you off some of the projects that are currently either funded, in process, or under construction in the city of Fairview. And one is the City Center Greenway, which will go from the City Hall to Shelter 2 in Bowie Park. And that is in the stage of being worked through in the state of Tennessee as a grant, a 50-50 grant with the LPRF. The Bowie Lake Road, which many of you have either driven on or seen, but the Bowie Lake Road expansion is 95% complete. There is some additional things that'll be done in beautification. The Bowie Park Forestry. That was adopted in February of 2013, and it was put out to bid. The staff put it out to bid. No bids were received. It then opened up to staff bidding, to where they're asking inquiries or loggers in the area to give a bid on what needs to be done according to the adopted forestry plan on the tree thinning. And that was supposed to be back in June. This is August, so I am anticipating very strongly that our staff will bring back to us the tree thinning project moving forward with a identified logger, and us being able to move from waiting to being done. Because I agree, the planning and the reforestation that was presented to us is an excellent plan and an excellent way for our community to come together on the changes that Bowie Park is going to see in being thinning for the health of the park, and then being able to replant for the future longevity. Also, Triangle School, which is a historical area over by the Fast Pace, Deer Ridge Road, Rec Center in that area. That's a historical monument of the Triangle School, and also the old Jingo Post Office, which is a tourism opportunity of our future. And then the Farmers Market, focusing on a community garden, which is a partnership that Commissioner Carroll put together with the schools and also the park board. We will be discussing that October 7th at 6 p.m. here in City Hall. If you have an interest in that, we'll be pulling together the master gardeners, the school. It will be on school. We're projecting a conversation about school property. Let me watch my words. And then also the park board. And then that will be an opportunity for the community to come together in a community garden, which will then open up opportunities for our farmers market. And I think everyone in here knows that eating healthy is wise. So that's what we're after in that project. Strategic planning, which is what we're doing here, and then the Highway 196 roadscapes, which I spoke about with the Cloverleaf area. Those are under this category of parks and greenways, and those are currently under construction. The other federal, state, and local funded city projects is the Safe Routes to School, and that's the sidewalks we spoke about to the schools and from the subdivisions. A active transportation and a surface transportation, and both of those are dealing directly with TDOT, and that is a MPO grant that our city has solicited, and we're working through the details with the state, and those would be resurfacing of much needed roads. King Road is the #1 identified road. There are several others, and that is discussed at our Board of Commissioner meeting, but King Road, Hall Road, and Cumberland, Chester, and Cox Pike have all been identified by a public works director, and some of those are in more need than others. And I take this time to explain, because if you're not aware of these projects going on, it lets you know a little bit about what the Board of Commissioners, what the staff, and what the employees of the city take on each day. And then the last is staff projects. The Welcome to Fairview signs, I'm sure each one of you have seen the two, one on 96 and one on Highway 100. The third one is in production to be completed soon, and it'll be over on 100 and Sutherland Road, right there coming in from 840. City paving, the city center overlay, which I talked about that in this area. The city survey, we have just completed the second survey, and it should be launched on the website and hopefully at Nature Fest. And that is a second city survey, which we're asking for the public's opinion on recreation. Not Bowie Park, but recreation and needs and desires in the city of Fairview. We have updated all the networking throughout all of the departments in City Hall, the police station, the fire station, and the nature center on the system as far as phones and interactive, to where you don't necessarily have to dial a bunch of numbers. It can be transferred, as well as then be able to do interlocal communications. And the Veterans Memorial Park, that's over on 96 Highway at the Evergreen Industrial Park, and that was revamped. The staff worked on that all through the summer. If you have not been there, please go. It's in the Evergreen Industrial Park, and we're looking to rename that into the Veterans Memorial Park, and just have another area on that end of town as pocket parks. So I thought the need to share that, because as we're talking about strategic planning for the city of Fairview, it's very good to know what's going on currently, and it's very good to know that you have leaders that are working on planning to see the future the way that the community wants to see it. Again, I thank you so much for being here and having the time to put forth in Fairview we are very blessed to have you as our citizens. Commissioner Carroll.
Yes, before you close, I'd
Sure.
like to make a comment. This is kind of off the wall, but somebody called me tonight, and but thank you. Before I get into it, thank you everybody for coming and saying your comments, and it really does mean a lot. I think it's good for you. It's good for us. I think one of the best ways to figure out what people want is talk to people. And so I try to stay in contact, ask what their needs, why you're here. And it's valid, because a lot of times we realize it's a heavy responsibility making a decision that affects the whole community. And then also that we have a chance to leave our mark and how you want to leave it. Do you want somebody to say you served the 4 years and, you were on a train wreck and this is not how we wanted to go? So I think it's all important. I appreciate your comments. Now, the announcement, I did have somebody call me tonight, and I wanted to find a way to say it, and there was never a good time, so this is closing. He is a fireman. He works in another city, got a phone call, and somebody was wanting donations for the fire department. And so because he's a firefighter, he started asking questions, is it the local Fairview Fire Department? Is it, where's the money's going? And basically, as he asked the questions, it was going to a union in Hendersonville. So his concern to me was, Patty, people are going to get these phone calls and think that it's local, so please just ask questions. And so I thought that was a good reminder anytime that anybody gets a telemarketer or somebody soliciting money, is be sure, of course we want to help local firefighters, and I'm sure our firefighters, if you'd like to donate money, I'm sure they would be glad to have it, but just make sure you're asking questions. And he was just really concerned that, not that what they're doing is wrong, it wasn't, they have every right to do it, but he just wanted us to know, and so I'm just going to pass it along. Somebody calls, asks money, ask the right questions, make sure it's either going to a cause that you want it to go to, and, I think that's smart with anything. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Sutton.
I'll keep it real
Thank you
brief.
for staying and not running off to watch the ball game.
You're welcome. To answer one of her questions, I belong to the Fraternal Order of Police. Like I said, I've been with the Sheriff's Department for 18 years. And we have a telemarketing that helps us raise funds, that we do the Shop with a Cop thing. We spend tens of thousands of dollars for kids at Christmas time. So that's where we get the money at. One way to double check that is always ask for a return number and call them back rather than just accept what they tell you on the phone. That's the simplest way to know where your money is going. Never get about any credit card, debit card, social security numbers, anything else. And when somebody calls me and says, you just won $1 million, and the first question I ask them is, what's my name? They don't know. I didn't win $1 million. And, but just to keep it even shorter, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight with your inputs. The only thing I would ask you to do next time is bring somebody else with you.
Right.
When we come, I'd love to see it full. And if you have something, we've all got our emails and things online, send it to us. We'll try to send it back to you as quick as we can. John, I want to tell you, I appreciate the job that you're doing with everything that we're working on right now for the city. As far as the Boys and Girls Club, it's kind of a special thing to me. I want to thank Roger at the Country Cafe for furnishing our food for the meeting that we had. A lot of things are coming to Fairview, and there's a lot of plans going on as far as those type programs. And as we spoke before about the children and things in Fairview, this is just my pitch. Y'all cut me off if you want to. We have about 100 young people that go to the Boys and Girls Club in Fairview. We could have 200 if we had the facility to do it with. A lot of these children would be, I call them latchkey children, at home with nothing to do but get in trouble. And so if you can support them, I really appreciate it. But get involved with them. They help every project that we do virtually in the neighborhood, and the community has started to give in and help out. So just keep that in mind, because it's all about the kids and stuff that goes along with them. But I thank everybody, the rest of the board, all the hard work. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
I'd like to wish everyone a very safe and happy holiday season. You have Labor Day ahead of you. Be very safe, right? Yep. Thank you all again. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.